Commander Sarah Chun stood in the briefing room, looking at the screen that would decide her fate. The three admirals sat behind their metal table like judges at a trial. She knew this was not really a mission, this was punishment. "Commander," Chun, Admiral Morrison spoke in his cold voice, "you have been selected for a special deep space mission to Kepler 442c. This is a great honor." Sarah did not feel honored. She felt like a prisoner being led to her execution. 3 weeks ago, she had refused to fire on an alien ship full of refugees. The ship was old and broken, clearly no threat to anyone. But her orders were clear: destroy all unknown vessels in human space. She could not do it. She would not kill innocent beings just because they were different. "The mission details are in these sealed files," Admiral Chun said, sliding a data pad across the table. "You will not open them until you reach your destination. This is classified at the highest level." Sarah picked up the data pad. It felt heavy in her hands, like it carried the weight of her doom. "What exactly am I supposed to do on this planet, sir?" "Reconnaissance. Survey the planet for resources and possible threats. Report back in 6 months," Admiral Morrison said. But his eyes told a different story. His eyes said she would never report back at all. "My ship, sir? The Swift Arrow has been prepared for your mission. It has everything you need for a 6-month journey." Admiral Morrison smiled, but it was not a kind smile. "You leave in 2 hours." Sarah saluted and left the room. She walked through the corridors of the space station, knowing this might be the last time she would see other humans. Other officers looked at her with strange expressions. Some seemed sorry for her. Others seemed afraid, as if whatever was happening to her might happen to them too. The Swift Arrow was waiting for her in Docking Bay 7. It was smaller than her usual command ship, much smaller. The crew that helped her load supplies did not look at her face. They worked quickly and quietly, like they were handling a dead body. Sarah climbed into the pilot's seat and ran through the ship's systems. Everything seemed normal, but she noticed the fuel levels were exactly enough for HFY trip to Kepler 442c. There was no extra fuel for exploration or emergency maneuvers. This confirmed what she already knew: they did not expect her to come back. 2 hours later, the Swift Arrow launched from the station. Sarah watched through the rear cameras as the station grew smaller and smaller until it was just another star in the darkness. She was alone now, truly alone, with nothing but empty space and her thoughts. The journey to Kepler 442c would take 3 months. During that time, Sarah tried to keep herself busy. She read every file on the ship's computer. She exercised in the small gym area. She talked to the ship's AI, though it only gave simple responses about navigation and life support, but mostly she thought about the alien ship she had refused to destroy. It had been carrying families. She could see them through her ship's scanners, small figures huddled together in the cargo bay, their strange faces full of fear. They were running from something, seeking safety in human space. And the coalition wanted her to kill them for it. She had sent a message to the alien ship instead, telling them to leave human space immediately. They had understood. Their ship had turned around and jumped away to safety. But someone had been watching. Someone had reported her disobedience. As the weeks passed, Sarah noticed small problems with her ship. The air recycler made strange noises. The food processor sometimes failed to work. The navigation computer had minor glitches. At first, she thought these were normal wear and tear. But then she realized the truth: the ship was designed to fail. Slowly, carefully, but it was designed to break down just enough to kill her. They were very clever about it. If anyone ever found her body and the ship, it would look like equipment failure. Bad luck. No one would know she had been murdered for doing the right thing. 3 months into her journey, Sarah reached Kepler 442c. The planet hung in space like a gray marble, dead and cold. No atmosphere thick enough to breathe. No signs of life on the scanners. Just rocks and dust and the endless silence of a world that had never known the sound of voices. Sarah landed the Swift Arrow in a flat area between some low hills. The landing was rough because the ship's stabilizers were starting to fail. She put on her environment suit and stepped outside. The planet was even more depressing than it looked from orbit. Red dust covered everything. Strange rock formations rose from the ground like the bones of dead giants. The sky was the color of old blood, and two small suns hung in it like dying eyes. Sarah activated her sealed orders. The datapad came to life, showing Admiral Morrison's face. "Commander Chun," the recording said, "if you are watching this, you have reached your destination. Your real mission is simple. You are to die on this planet. You disobeyed direct orders and showed mercy to alien threats. The Coalition cannot allow such weakness in its officers. Consider this your court-martial and execution," the recording continued. "Your ship has been modified to fail after 6 months. Your rescue beacon has been disabled. No one will come looking for you. You will serve as an example to other officers who might think about putting alien lives before human security." Sarah turned off the datapad and threw it into the dust. She was not surprised, but hearing it out loud still hurt. They had sent her here to die alone on a dead world, far from anyone who might remember her or care that she was gone. But Sarah Chun had not survived 3 wars and risen to the rank of commander by giving up easily. If they wanted her to die on this planet, they would have to wait. She would not make it easy for them. She looked around at the dead landscape and made a decision. If this was going to be her grave, she would make sure it told a story. She would use whatever time she had left to explore this world and learn its secrets. Maybe she would find something important. Maybe she would find a way to get a message back to human space about what the Coalition had done to her, or maybe she would just survive long enough to prove that Sarah Chun was harder to kill than they. The wind picked up, blowing red dust across the barren ground. Sarah walked back to her dying ship and began to plan. She had 6 months before the ship failed completely. 6 months to find a way to live, or at least to die on her own. She did not know that deep beneath her feet, something was stirring in the darkness. Something that had been waiting for a very long time for someone like her to arrive. Something that would change everything, but that was still to come. For now, Sarah Chun was alone on a dead planet with a sabotaged ship and the knowledge that her own people had sent her here to die. It was not a good beginning, but sometimes the worst beginnings lead to the most unexpected endings. Sarah had been on the dead planet for 2 weeks when she found the first crystal. She was looking for metal to fix her ship's broken water recycler when her scanner started making soft beeping sounds. The device was pointing at what looked like ordinary rocks near a cliff face, but when Sarah brushed away the red dust, she saw something that made her heart beat faster. Under the dirt was smooth blue crystal that seemed to glow with its own light. It was beautiful, like nothing she had ever seen before. Sarah took pictures and collected a small sample. Back at her ship, she ran every test she could think of. The crystal was unlike any material in her computer's database. It seemed to store energy in ways that human science did not understand. Even more strange, the crystal seemed to react to her presence, glowing brighter when she touched it. Over the next few days, Sarah found more crystals scattered around the area. Each one was different. Some were blue, others green or purple or silver. They were all buried under dust and rocks, as if someone had tried to hide them long ago. Then Sarah found the entrance. She was following a line of buried crystals when her scanner detected a large, empty space underground, behind a wall of fallen rocks. She found stairs carved into the stone. The stairs went down into darkness so deep that her flashlight could not reach the bottom. Sarah knew she should be careful. But her ship was dying a little more each day, and she had nothing to lose. She put on her environment suit, took extra oxygen tanks, and started down the stairs. The stairs went down for what felt like forever. The walls were covered with strange symbols that looked like they had been carved by hand. Or maybe not by hands at all. The marks were too smooth, too perfect for human tools. After an hour of walking, Sarah reached the bottom. Her flashlight showed her a huge underground space, bigger than any building she had ever seen. The ceiling was so high that her light could not reach it. And everywhere, covering the walls and floor and hanging from above, were crystals. But these crystals were different from the ones on the surface. These crystals hummed with energy. They pulsed with soft light that came and went like breathing. And as Sarah walked deeper into the cavern, she realized she was not alone. Something moved in the shadows between the crystal formations. Sarah raised her flashlight and saw a shape that made her step backward in shock. It looked like a person, but it was made of living crystal. Its body was tall and thin, with long arms that ended in delicate fingers. Where a human would have a face, this being had smooth crystal that reflected Sarah's light like a mirror. It did not move like it was alive, but it did not look dead either. Sarah's hand went to her weapon, but she did not draw it. The being was not threatening her. It was just standing there as if it was waiting for something. "Hello," Sarah said, feeling foolish for talking to what might be a statue. The crystal being's head turned toward her. Light began to flow through its body like water. And then, impossible as it seemed, it spoke. Not with a voice, but directly. "Into Sarah's mind, you are not of the plague bringers," the voice said. It sounded tired, ancient, and very sad. "You are different." Sarah's heart pounded. "You're alive. You can talk. I am the last of my people to remain awake. I am called Harmony of Distant Stars. We have been waiting for someone who could hear us." "How long have you been waiting?" Images flowed into Sarah's mind. She saw this world as it once was, green and beautiful, with crystal cities that reached toward the sky. She saw the HFY, as they called themselves, living in peace for thousands of years. And then she saw the darkness coming, the plague. "Arrived 300 of your years ago," Harmony explained. "It came from deep space, turning all living things to dust. We put our people into deep sleep to wait for the plague to pass. But it never passed. It only grew stronger. More images came. Sarah saw other worlds, other civilizations falling to the same plague. She saw ships fleeing from planet to planet, always one step ahead of the spreading death. But you survived." Sarah said, "We are crystal-based life. The plague affects us differently. We do not die from it, but we cannot wake our sleeping people while it exists, and now—" The being's light grew dimmer. "Now the plague has found your people." Sarah felt cold fear in her stomach. "What do you mean?" The images that came next made Sarah want to scream. She saw human colonies, the same ones the coalition had reported as lost to equipment failures. But they had not failed from bad equipment. They had failed because everyone on them had turned to dust. "Your leaders know," Harmony said. "They have known for months. But they choose to hide the truth rather than seek help. The coalition knows about the plague, and they're not warning anyone. They fear panic. They fear losing control. So they send ships to destroy evidence and spread lies about equipment failure." Sarah thought about her own situation. "Is that why they sent me here? Because I asked too many questions? You and others like you? They cannot risk officers who might speak the truth." Sarah felt anger building inside her. The coalition was not just hiding from an alien plague, they were murdering their own officers to keep the secret. How many other ships had been sent to die on dead worlds? How many good people had been sacrificed to protect the careers of politicians? "Can the plague be stopped?" Sarah asked. "Yes, we have learned to create immunity during our long exile. But the cure requires cooperation between our peoples. Your leaders would have to admit they need help from aliens." Sarah almost laughed, but there was no humor in it. The coalition would never admit they needed alien help. They had built their whole government on the idea that humans were superior to all other life forms. What about the others? The HFY who are sleeping. They will die if they do not wake soon. Our power crystals are failing. Without new energy, they will sleep forever. Sarah looked around at the beautiful crystal cavern. "How many are sleeping?" 12,000. "The last of our race." The weight of that number hit Sarah like a physical blow. 12,000 people, an entire species, dying slowly in crystal sleep while she stood here talking to their only guardian. And her own people were dying from a plague that could be cured if only someone was brave enough to ask for help. "What can I do?" Sarah asked. I'm just one person, and my ship is designed to fail. I'm supposed to die here, perhaps? But you are not dead yet, and you have something your leaders do not expect. What's that? The choice to do what is right, even when it costs you everything. Sarah thought about the alien refugee ship she had refused to destroy. Doing the right thing had already cost her everything once. Now she was being asked to do it again, but on a scale she could barely imagine. If I help you, what happens to me? That depends on how much you are willing to change, Harmony said. The cure we offer requires a price. Those who carry it become something new. Neither fully human nor fully Ketha AI. Sarah looked at the dying alien and made her decision. She had been sent here to die as punishment for showing mercy to refugees. Now she had found an entire planet of refugees who needed her help. And beyond them, her own people needed saving from a plague their leaders were too proud to fight. Tell me what I need to do. Sarah spent the next 3 days learning from Harmony of Distant Stars. The ancient being showed her how the Kethai technology worked and what would be needed to repair her ship, but the price was higher than she had imagined. The bonding process cannot be undone, Harmony explained as they stood before a wall of sleeping crystal beings. Once you accept our gift, you will carry parts of our essence within you. Your body will change. Your mind will expand. You will live much longer than other humans, but you will never again be fully human. Sarah looked at her hands. They seemed so small and weak compared to the graceful crystal forms around her. What exactly will happen to me? Harmony touched one of the sleeping forms gently. Light flowed from its fingers into the crystal body, and Sarah could see the being inside stirring slightly. Your bones will become stronger, like living crystal. Your blood will carry nanoscale crystal structures that make you immune to the plague. Your mind will be able to connect with our technology and with others who have been bonded. Will I still be me? You will be more than you were before, but you will still be Sarah Chun. The bonding enhances what is already there. It does not erase who you are? Sarah thought about her choices. She could refuse the bonding and die here when her ship failed. Or she could accept it and become something new, something that might be able to save both species from extinction. How long will it take? She asked. 3 days for the bonding to complete. 3 more days to modify your ship with our technology. Then you will have choices to make about what comes next. Sarah made her decision. Let's begin. The bonding chamber was deep in the crystal caverns, surrounded by machines that looked like they had grown rather than been built. Harmony led Sarah to a pool of liquid crystal that glowed with soft blue light. You must enter the pool and allow the bonding crystal to merge with your body, Harmony explained. It will be painful at first. Your body will fight the change. But if you can't accept it, the pain will pass and you will emerge transformed. Sarah removed her environment suit and stepped into the pool. The liquid crystal was warm against her skin and it tingled like mild electricity. At first it felt pleasant, almost relaxing. Then the real change began. Sarah felt the crystal entering her bloodstream through her pores. It moved through her body like living fire, rewriting her cells one by one. Her bones began to ache as they slowly transformed, becoming denser and stronger. Her muscles burned as crystal fibers wove themselves through the tissue. The worst part was when the crystal reached her brain. Sarah felt her thoughts expanding, becoming clearer and faster than they had ever been before. She could suddenly sense the other beings in the cavern, feel their dreams and memories flowing at the edge of her consciousness. For a terrifying moment, Sarah thought she was losing herself in the flood of alien thoughts. But then Harmony's voice reached her mind, calm and steady. Hold on to who you are. Let the crystal enhance you, but do not let it replace you. You are Sarah Chun. You are a human who chooses mercy over cruelty. Remember that, and you will not be lost. Sarah held on to that thought as the transformation continued. She was Sarah Chun. She had refused to kill innocent refugees. She had been sent here to die for doing the right thing. She would not let that sacrifice be meaningless. After what felt like hours, the pain began to fade. Sarah opened her eyes and found that she could see much more clearly than before. The crystal cavern was no longer dark to her. She could see the energy flowing through every crystal formation, could sense the sleeping beings all around her. She climbed out of the pool and looked at herself. Her skin had a faint silver sheen to it now, and when she touched her arms, she could feel the crystal structures beneath the surface. She was still recognizably human, but she was also something more. "How do you feel?" Harmony asked. Sarah moved her arms and legs experimentally. She felt stronger, faster, more alert than she had ever been in her life. Different, but still me. Over the next 3 days, Harmony taught Sarah how to use her new abilities. She learned to connect her mind directly to HFY technology, to share thoughts and images with the crystal being, to sense energy patterns that had been invisible to her before. Most importantly, she learned how to wake the sleeping HFY safely. The process requires a bonded being to channel energy into their sleep crystals, Harmony explained. I have been doing this alone for 300 years, but I am weakening. With your help, we can begin waking them in small groups. They started with 10 of the sleepers. Sarah placed her hands on their crystal shells and felt the power flowing through her new hybrid body. It was incredible. She could feel their minds stirring, their bodies beginning to function again after centuries of sleep. One by one, the HFY began to wake. They were confused at first, disoriented by the long sleep. But when they saw Sarah, their crystal faces somehow managed to show surprise and hope, a human who has accepted the bonding. One of them said directly into Sarah's mind. This was not expected. Times change, Sarah replied, amazed that she could communicate with them so easily now. Your people and mine both face extinction. We need to work together. While the awakened HFY helped their still sleeping family members, Sarah and Harmony worked on her ship. The transformation was remarkable. HFY crystal technology merged with human engineering in ways that should not have been possible. The ship's hull was reinforced with living crystal that could repair itself if damaged. The engines were upgraded with crystal power cores that could run for decades without fuel. The computer systems were enhanced with crystal processors that could think and learn like living beings. Most importantly, the communication array was completely rebuilt. The new system could send messages across impossible distances, using quantum crystal networks that the HFY had developed over millennia. Your ship is now capable of journeys that would have taken months and days, Harmony explained as they finished the final modifications. But more than that, it is capable of carrying passengers who need special environments. Sarah understood. The ship could now carry HFY safely, allowing them to establish colonies on new worlds if necessary, but as they worked, disturbing news reached them through the ship's enhanced sensors. Sarah's new abilities allowed her to detect transmissions from human space that her original equipment never could have found. The plague was spreading faster than the coalition had expected. 3 more colonies had been lost in the past week. But instead of calling for help or warning other settlements, the coalition was taking even more extreme measures to hide the truth. Sarah listened to encrypted military communications with growing horror. The coalition was planning to destroy entire star systems, claiming they had been lost to equipment failures or alien attacks. They would rather commit genocide than admit they needed help. They're going to kill billions of people to protect their pride, Sarah said, her voice shaking with anger. Harmony's crystal form seemed to dim with sadness. This is why the plague spread so quickly through your space. Your leaders choose isolation over cooperation, death over healing. Not all of us, Sarah said firmly. There are good people in human space. People who would choose differently if they knew the truth. Then perhaps it is time to give them that choice. Sarah looked at her transformed ship, at the slowly awakening HFY, at her own changed hands that could now channel energy like living crystal. She thought about the coalition admirals who had sent her here to die, about the officers like herself who were being murdered to keep their secrets safe. The coalition expects me to die here, she said slowly. They have no idea that I found allies or that my ship has been transformed. That gives us an advantage. What do you propose? Sarah smiled, and for the first time since arriving on This dead world, it was a smile full of hope and purpose. I propose we give them exactly what they're not expecting. We go home, we tell the truth, and we offer humanity a choice between extinction and evolution. The journey will be dangerous. Your own people may try to kill you before you can deliver the cure. Then we make sure the message gets through no matter what happens to us. Sarah looked around at the crystal cavern that had become her second home. In 6 days, everything had changed. She was no longer the same person who had landed here. Her ship was no longer the same vessel that had carried her into exile. And the Kethai were no longer a dying race with no hope for the future. Now they were allies. Now they were partners in a mission that could save 2 species from extinction. How soon can we leave? Sarah asked. Harmony's crystal form pulsed with something that might have been excitement. We can depart whenever you are ready, Commander Chun. Sarah Chun. The name felt different now, heavier with responsibility but also lighter with hope. She was still the woman who had refused to fire on innocent refugees. But now she was also something more, a bridge between 2 species, a carrier of both cure and truth. It was time to go home. Sarah's ship left the dead planet carrying 5 awakened Kethai and a cargo hold full of crystal seeds that could grow into new colonies. The journey home would take 2 months with the enhanced engines, but Sarah knew those months would be the most important of her life. During the first week, she learned to fully use her ship's new communication system. The crystal arrays could intercept coalition transmissions from incredible distances, and what Sarah heard made her blood run cold. Admiral Morrison's voice came through the speakers as clear as if he was standing next to her. Operation Clean. Slate is proceeding as planned. We have successfully eliminated 12 more potential security risks. The colonies at Beta Centauri and Volf 359 have been sterilized to prevent plague spread. Sarah's hands gripped the control panel so hard that small cracks appeared in the metal. The coalition was not just hiding the plague anymore, they were murdering entire colonies to keep it secret. Millions of people dead because their leaders chose pride over honesty. They speak of genocide as if it were routine maintenance, Harmony said from the navigation station. The Kethai had adapted quickly to working alongside human technology. Not all humans are like this, Sarah said firmly. Most of my people would be horrified if they knew what was happening. Over the following days, Sarah intercepted more communications. She learned that the coalition had sent at least 20 officers like herself to die on remote planets. Good people who had asked difficult questions or shown mercy when they were ordered to be cruel. All of them marked for death to protect the coalition's secrets, but some of those officers were still alive. I'm picking up a distress signal, announced. Resonance of Clearwater, one of the younger Kethai. It's using old human military codes. Sarah tuned her instruments to the signal's frequency. What she heard made her heart race with hope and anger. This is Commander Rodriguez of the UES Defiant. Day 47 on Gliese 667C. My ship is failing as expected. If anyone receives this message, know that the coalition is covering up an alien plague. They are killing colonies and officers to hide the truth. The plague can be stopped, but they refuse to seek help because it would mean admitting aliens are superior to humans in some ways. Don't let them win. Don't let fear and pride destroy our species, the message repeated every few hours. Commander. Rodriguez was somewhere in the Gliese system, dying slowly while broadcasting the truth that could save humanity. We have to help her, Sarah said. The detour will add weeks to our journey, Harmony pointed out, and it will increase the risk of detection. Sarah looked at her transformed hands, remembering her own despair when she first arrived on the dead planet. I'm not leaving another good officer to die alone when we have the power to save her. They changed course for the Gliese system. During the 2-week journey, Sarah used the ship's enhanced manufacturing systems to create more cure crystals. Each crystal contained the nanoscale structures needed to grant immunity to the plague. They were small enough to be hidden easily, but powerful enough to protect entire communities. When they reached Gliese 667C, they found the Defiant crashed on the planet's surface. The ship was clearly beyond repair, but Sarah's sensors detected One human life sign in the wreckage. Sarah and two of the HFY took a shuttle down to the planet. They found Commander Rodriguez in the ship's emergency shelter, weak from malnutrition but still alive. She was a small woman with tired eyes, and the same stubborn expression Sarah recognized from looking in mirrors. "Who are you?" Rodriguez asked weakly, raising a broken weapon with shaking hands. "I'm Sarah Chun. I was sent to die just like you were, but I found help." Rodriguez's eyes widened when she saw the HFY. "Aliens, are you here to finish what?" the coalition started. "We're here to offer you the same choice I was given," Sarah said. "Die alone on this rock or accept help and fight back." It took several hours to explain everything to Rodriguez. The plague, the cover-up, the HFY cure, and Sarah's transformation. When Sarah demonstrated her new abilities by repairing Rodriguez's broken equipment with crystal energy, the other commander's last doubts disappeared. The bonding process. "We'll change you," Sarah warned. "You'll still be human, but you'll also be something more. The choice is yours." Rodriguez looked around at her dying ship and her failing supplies. "I've been sending warning messages for weeks, hoping someone would hear them. If this is my chance to make sure those warnings actually save people, then yes. I accept." The bonding process was easier the second time. Sarah was able to guide Rodriguez through the transformation, helping her maintain her sense of self while the crystal technology merged with her body. When it was finished, Rodriguez stood up straighter and stronger than she had been in months. "I feel incredible," she said, looking at her hands as silver light flowed beneath her skin. "And I can sense you all so clearly. Is this what it's like for the HFY all the time?" "This is how we were meant to be," Harmony replied. "Connected, cooperating, sharing strength instead of hoarding it." They brought Rodriguez aboard Sarah's ship and continued toward human space. Now they had 2 transformed humans and 5 HFY, working together to prepare for what would come next. During the remaining weeks of the journey, Sarah and Rodriguez planned their approach carefully. They would need to avoid coalition patrols while getting their message to as many people as possible. The crystal communication arrays would be their greatest weapon. They could broadcast the cure formula and evidence of the coalition's crimes across entire star systems simultaneously. But first, they needed to test their cure on actual plague victims. Sarah's sensors detected a coalition quarantine zone around the Tau Ceti system. According to official reports, the system had suffered a reactor malfunction that made it uninhabitable. But Sarah's enhanced equipment could detect the real truth. The system was infected with the plague, and the coalition was letting everyone die rather than risk the truth getting out. "There are still survivors on the outer colonies," Resonance reported. "Maybe a few thousand people holding out in sealed habitats." "Then that's where we start," Sarah decided. They slipped past the coalition blockade using HFY stealth technology. The outer colonies were in terrible condition. Entire cities had turned to dust, leaving only scattered groups of survivors hiding in underground shelters. Sarah and Rodriguez used their shuttles to distribute cure crystals to the survivors. The results were immediate and miraculous. People who had been dying from plague exposure recovered within hours. Communities that had been trapped in their shelters for months could finally venture outside safely. Word spread quickly among the survivors. The coalition had abandoned them to die, but strangers with alien allies had come to save them. When Sarah broadcast the cure formula openly on all frequencies, the survivors began making their own cure crystals and distributing them to other hidden communities. "The coalition will know we're here soon," Rodriguez warned as they prepared to leave Tau Ceti. "Good," Sarah replied. "Let them know. Let them know that the people they tried to silence are still speaking." As they departed the system, Sarah sent a message to every coalition frequency she could reach. It was simple and direct. "This is Commander Sarah Chun, speaking from the UES Swift Arrow. The plague your leaders have been hiding can be cured. We have the cure, and we're sharing it freely with anyone who wants it. We also have evidence of your crimes, the colonies you've destroyed, the officers you've murdered, the lies you've told to cover your failures. Humanity deserves better than leaders who choose genocide over cooperation. We're coming home to give our people a choice. Try to stop us, Within hours, Sarah's sensors detected coalition ships moving to intercept them. Fast attack vessels, the kind designed to destroy evidence and eliminate witnesses. They're sending everything they have, Rodriguez observed. Studying the tactical display, Sarah looked at her crew, human and Kethai working side by side, united in purpose despite coming from different worlds and different species. Then we better make sure our message gets through no matter what happens to us. She activated the ship's most powerful transmitter and began broadcasting everything: the cure formula, the evidence of coalition crimes, the location of surviving Kethai colonies, and the promise that cooperation between species was not only possible, but necessary for survival. The message spread across human space faster than the coalition could stop it. And as Sarah's ship raced toward Earth with coalition forces closing in from all sides, she knew that whatever happened next, the truth was finally free. The swift arrow emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system, flying a flag that had never been seen before. Sarah had designed it herself during the final weeks of their journey, a blue field with intertwined symbols representing humanity, and the Kethai surrounded by silver stars that stood for hope and cooperation. Immediately, alarm started screaming across every coalition ship in the system. Sarah's vessel had an energy signature unlike anything in their databases. The ship looked human in design, but it pulsed with alien crystal technology that made their sensors go wild. Unknown vessel, this is Admiral Morrison aboard the CNS Triumph. You are in violation of Earth security protocols. Identify yourself immediately or you will be destroyed. Sarah activated her communication system and broadcast her response on every frequency, making sure it reached not just the coalition fleet but every civilian station, colony ship, and communication relay in the system. This is Commander Sarah. Chun aboard the UES Swift Arrow. I was sent to die on a dead planet 6 months ago for refusing to murder innocent aliens. I survived, I found the lies, and I'm here to offer humanity a choice between extinction and evolution. The response was immediate chaos. Sarah's enhanced sensors detected hundreds of ships changing course toward her position, but she also detected something else: civilian transmissions spreading her message to every corner of human space. Her broadcasts from the past month had already reached Earth, and people were demanding answers from their leaders. Chun, you are under arrest for treason and collaboration with hostile alien forces. Morrison's voice crackled with rage. Surrender immediately. The only traitors here are the ones who chose genocide over cooperation, Sarah replied calmly. Tell me, Admiral, how many colonies have you destroyed this month? How many officers have you murdered to keep your secrets? Sarah's ship moved deeper into the system, easily avoiding the coalition vessels that tried to intercept it. The Kethai technology made her ship faster and more maneuverable than anything the coalition had done as they traveled toward Earth. Sarah continued broadcasting. She sent out the complete cure formula, detailed evidence of coalition war crimes, and most importantly, real-time images of her crew working together, humans and Kethai side by side, proving that cooperation between species was not only possible, but beautiful. Citizens of Earth and all human colonies, Sarah's voice carried across space, your leaders have been lying to you. The plague that has destroyed dozens of worlds can be cured. The aliens you've been taught to fear want to help us. The officers who asked difficult questions weren't transferred, they were murdered. You deserve better than leaders who choose pride over survival. The effect was immediate and dramatic. On Earth, massive protests erupted in every major city. Colony worlds declared independence from coalition authority. Military officers began refusing orders to fire on civilian ships carrying cure crystals. Admiral Morrison tried desperately to maintain control. All loyal forces engaged the alien vessel. This is a direct threat to human security. But only half the coalition fleet obeyed. The other half held back, their commanders unwilling to fire on a ship that was offering salvation to their own species. Sarah's ship reached Earth orbit, where she found herself surrounded by hundreds of vessels, some coalition military, some civilian rescue ships, some colony defense forces that had declared for the rebellion that was spreading across human space. "This is Captain Williams of the CNS Defender," came a transmission from one of the smaller coalition ships. "Commander Chun, my crew has voted. We're standing down. We won't fire on the people trying to save our families." Similar messages came from dozens of other ships. The coalition's authority was crumbling as fast as their lies, but Admiral Morrison wasn't finished. "If I can't stop you, I'll make sure you take as few people with you as possible," he snarled. "All loyal ships target the civilian vessels. If we can't have order, we'll have chaos." Sarah watched in horror as coalition ships began firing on unarmed civilian vessels that were trying to distribute Cura crystals. Families died in explosions of light as the Admiral tried to maintain power through terror. "Rodriguez, take us in," Sarah ordered. "It's time to end this." The swift arrow accelerated toward the CNS Triumph, easily avoiding the desperate fire from Morrison's remaining loyal ships. Sarah's vessel had been built for this moment, a hybrid of human determination and Kethai wisdom, representing everything the coalition feared most. "Unknown vessel, stay back!" Morrison screamed. "I will not let aliens contaminate human space." "We're not contaminating anything," Sarah replied as her ship closed the distance. "We're cleaning up the mess you made." Sarah used her ship's tractor beam to grab the Triumph and hold it in place. Then she did something that shocked everyone watching. She opened her communication channels and invited Morrison aboard for a face-to-face meeting. "You're insane," Rodriguez said. "He'll try to kill you the moment he sees you." "Maybe," Sarah agreed. "But he needs to see what we've become. What humanity can become when it chooses cooperation over fear." Admiral Morrison came aboard the Swift Arrow with a small security team, all of them armed and clearly expecting a fight. What they found instead was a revelation. The ship's corridors were works of art, where human engineering merged seamlessly with living crystal. The crew worked together with an efficiency and harmony that should have been impossible between different species. And Sarah herself stood before them, transformed but unmistakably human, her silver-touched skin glowing with health and purpose. "You're still alive," Morrison said, his voice filled with disbelief and fear. "I'm more alive than I've ever been," Sarah replied. "And I'm still human, Admiral." "Still the same person who refused to fire on innocent refugees?" "The bonding didn't change who I am. It just gave me the power to act on my convictions." Morrison raised his weapon with shaking hands. "You're contaminated. You're a threat to the purity of human space." "I'm immune to a plague that's killed millions of our people," Sarah said calmly. "I can communicate with allies who want to help us explore the galaxy safely. I can live for centuries, learning and growing and protecting humanity from threats." "You can't even imagine. How exactly is that contamination?" "Because you're not human anymore," Morrison screamed. "I'm more human than I ever was," Sarah replied. "I'm what humanity becomes when it chooses growth over stagnation, cooperation over domination, hope over fear." Behind Morrison, his security team was looking around the ship with growing wonder. They could see Kethai and humans working together, sharing knowledge and building something beautiful. One of the guards slowly lowered his weapon. "Sir," the guard said quietly, "maybe we should listen to what they're offering." "Never," Morrison spun toward his own man. "We are humans. We don't bow to aliens." "We're not bowing," Sarah said. "We're standing up together." Morrison turned back toward Sarah and fired his weapon. But the blast that should have killed her was absorbed by her crystal-enhanced body. The energy flowed through her like water, causing her skin to glow brighter but doing no harm. "The bonding makes us very hard to kill," Sarah said sadly. "But it doesn't make us cruel. You can still choose a different path, Admiral." Morrison stared at his useless weapon, then at Sarah's glowing form, then at his own men who were looking at him with expressions of doubt and pity. "You've destroyed everything," he whispered. "No," Sarah said gently. "We've saved everything. Your way was leading to extinction. Our way leads to the stars." Morrison collapsed into a chair, a broken man watching his worldview crumble around him. Outside the ship, the battle was ending as more coalition vessels stood down and civilian ships began distributing cure crystals throughout the system. Sarah walked to the ship's main viewer and looked out at Earth, the blue world where humanity had taken its first steps toward the stars. "This is Commander Sarah Chun broadcasting to all human space," she said into her communicator. "The coalition that sent me to die has fallen. The plague that threatened our extinction has been cured. Our new allies await your friendship. And the galaxy is open to us now, not as conquerors but as partners in the greatest adventure any species has ever known." Across human space, colonies that had been dying from plague began to heal. Military officers who had been sent to die on remote worlds activated their rescue beacons, knowing help would come. Children who had never seen aliens learned that the crystal beings were friends, not monsters. And on 100 different worlds, humans and HFY began working together to build something neither species could have achieved alone. A future where differences were celebrated rather than feared, where cooperation replaced competition, and where the darkness between the stars was lit by the combined light of many worlds working as one. Sarah Chun stood on the bridge of her hybrid ship, no longer fully human but more human than she had ever been, and watched the dawn of a new age for both her species. She had been sent to die on a dead planet. Instead, she had learned to live among the stars,